You mentioned that eventually, if they kept working, the rumor is that the wealth would trickle down. One of the, I guess, most prominent quotes that people have taken from your blog, and I've seen this image in a couple of places now. The quote is, if you, and excuse me if I misquote you, but if people tell you that Wall Street profits are at an all-time high, but the economy still hasn't recovered, that's evidence that trickle-down economics does not work.
That's basically the paraphrase of it. I believe the exact quote, and I don't have it up here in front of me, but I think it was something along the lines of, the next time someone tells you that President Obama is ruining the economy, remind them that corporate profits and the stock market are near all-time highs. When they tell you that hasn't done anything for them, that's when you remind them that they've just admitted that trickle-down economics doesn't work. And that's basically the quote of it. It's been taken and paraphrased and misquoted on a number of different sites in social media where they've taken it and have been factually incorrect with it. But yes, that trickle down it hasn't happened. I mean, if you look at it, the tax rates in the time period that so many members of the media, of government, and especially of the kind of Tea Party folks who like to go back and the best time was in the 50s. The 50s were wonderful. Remember the sock hops, and everybody had a new Mustang or Bel Air, and those were the good old days. And mom stayed at home with the kids, and only one person had to work. And then I said, well, that's true. In a way, that's true because of the fact that back then, union membership was far higher than it is now. I think only 1 in 12, 1 in 10 U.S. workers is represented by a union. Tax rates, the top tax rate at the time on the highest income, on the very highest income, was 94% in 1953. My mother was born in 1954. She believes a lot of this trickle-down nonsense. She believes in all of this kind of GOP stuff. She's a little bit libertarian to some extent. And she sits there, and I actually watched the presidential debate, and she said, if they just lower taxes, I said, Mom, how much lower do they have to make taxes? Taxes are at an all-time low. That's why we're so far in debt. That's why our deficit is so high, because people want everything from government, but they don't want to pay anything. And back then, we built the interstate system. We built our infrastructure that we have today, which, by the way, is drastically in need of repair, on those higher tax rates. Because at that time, you had more income in the hands of more people. And that whole Obama wants to redistribute wealth. No, it's not he wants to take money away from rich people and hand it to poor people. He's saying, all right, if you want to use roads and bridges and infrastructure and the public education system and all of that other stuff to make your business grow, if you have a multi-billion-dollar company and you want to rely on public education, public transportation, everything else to make your business grow, then you need to pay your part for it. And that's what we did back then. That's how we built this country, was people paying their part. And people don't want to pay their part, but they want the government to give them all this infrastructure, but they don't want to pay for it. They want us to pay for it. So for that, it comes down to corporate greed. And the fact that the American worker complains bitterly about paying taxes. The Tea Party complains bitterly about paying taxes. But overall, The taxes are actually lower now than they've ever been since the beginning of the income tax. Yet it doesn't do anything for the economy, because when money's not flowing, it doesn't help the economy.
So, for the coming up elections, have you decided on a candidate that you're going to vote for? And if you have, how did you come to that decision?
This election, I'll be honest with you. I don't vote straight party lines. When I was a kid, we were taught that Republicans were the good guys and Democrats were godless, heathen commies that rejoiced in every abortion that happened, and Republicans were all that were the protectors of all that was right and white. And as I grew older, I realized that there's gray areas. For anything, I consider myself a libertarian. When it comes to civil rights, I consider myself mostly a libertarian. Or that's the party that I agree with the most. I'm actually registered as NPA, no party affiliation, because I don't let any particular group count on my vote. That being said, I really do like Gary Johnson. I also like Jill Stein. My beliefs are, when you look at on an issue-by-issue basis, it would look like my ideal ticket would be a Gary Johnson, Jill Stein split ticket. However, as much as I love the third party, and I love that idea, and I like what Gary Johnson says, and I agree with him on a lot of other stuff, more than I agree with Obama on, I'm going to vote for Obama again because of the fact that I cannot let Mitt Romney get into the White House. I don't believe that Mitt Romney is necessarily the sort of supervillain that a lot of members of the liberal and progressive media that, I have, shared stuff with, and we have some shared sentiments and all that. I don't believe that he's that supervillain that's going to take away women's right to choose and all that other stuff. I just believe that he's one of those Ayn Rand profit above everything else kind of Republicans. And he'll say or do whatever he has to do to get money. If he thought there was money in gay rights, he would support gay rights. If he thought there was money in anything, he'll support it. But back to the vote, I'm going to go with Obama. That being said, after the election, I will do as I've done in the past. I'll continue to support local third-party candidates, trying to build a base for independent and third-party groups in local government. And then once you go from the local government, then you go to the state government and on up. The problem with the independent movement, the third-party movement, is that people think that symbolically voting for somebody or pulling out a symbolic candidate every 4 years to be a third-party alternative without doing any type of grassroots work, doing any type of organization, or anything at the local level, is if they think that they can just pull somebody out of the hat every 4 years, that if they just keep trying at that without doing any of that local stuff, they're never going to succeed. And I would love to see third, fourth, fifth, ninth or 10th even parties debating and bringing up issues. But people aren't willing to put in the legwork. They're not willing to put down the remote. They're not willing to do anything that takes 10 or 15 minutes out of their day to do that. And so that's how we keep getting this two-party system every so many years. Every 4 years, here we go. We got another cycle, and people say, "Well, both parties are the same, so I'm not gonna do anything. I'm just not gonna vote." Or the people, bless their hearts, I've got family members like this. Well, I don't like either candidate, so I'm voting in Ron Paul. And I see that, and I tell him, if the guy can't even get 5 or 10% support within his own party, what makes you think that in a presidential election, your write-in vote, which you might get 10 per polling place versus thousands for Obama or Romney, what difference do you think that's going to make? You can't symbolically go and vote for a person because you don't like the other two people, and yet you haven't done anything else to support it. So, yeah, I'll go ahead, and I'm going to pull the lever for Obama. I like a lot of the stuff that he's done. As a person, I really like him as a person. I actually like him more as a person than I do his policies. He's one of those kind of quiet leaders. He's definitely the community organizer, where you bring people together and you don't center it on yourself as the figurehead, and you let other people make decisions, and you build a group consensus, and you use that group consensus to build idea, do the right thing, etc. But I'll be honest, I haven't been completely thrilled with everything he's done. I would have liked to have seen him give more attention to Occupy Wall Street. I really would have liked to have seen him walk down to those barricades and said, "Hey guys, I understand what you're protesting. I understand what you're doing. I support you on issue X, Y, and Z." But he didn't. I'm going to still vote for him. But like I said, once the election's over, I'm going to go back to, doing third-party work and try to do something at the local level. In our local district, we actually have two severely conservative Republicans running against each other in the general election, because that's how Louisiana system works. And that I think there's going to be a total of 3 Republicans, 1 Democrat, and 1 Libertarian running in that. And in that particular case, I'm going to be pulling the lever for the Libertarian in that. So it'll be Obama at the national level, in the congressional level. I'm going to pull the lever for the Libertarian, and I've pulled the Libertarian, Green Party, whatever lever, probably in every election at least once for at least one candidate, probably in every election since 2000.